Hello, dear students. Today we are going to take the topic obstacle to national integration. Obstacle to national integration. And this is the casteism, communalism, regionalism, or economic inequalities, etc. Last lecture, the previous lecture, we are discuss the casteism, and today we are going to next related topic is communalism. Communalism refers to mainly to loyalty to the one's own religion before the nation. Communalism refers to the loyalty to one's own religion, means it's a religious priority. First priority is given to the religion, not by the nation. India is one of the countries in the world where so many religious coexistence side by side. While on the one hand, this enriches our cultural heritage, at the same time, we also make sure that this does not become a course for separatism or separatism. Means the people are separatist is related to the caste, communalism, means religious diversity. Communal conflict is one of the worst blast on national reputation. It is a displeasing factor that affect the unity of the nation. Whatever may be the cause of the conflict, the damage it does to the nation is very deep and far reaching. Socially speaking, communal conflict creates feelings of the deep hatred, bitterness, and antagonism between members of different religious communities. Such conflict also leads to feeling of insecurity and they loosen bonds of solidarity. Economically speaking, communal conflict retard economic growth and development. Often, resources have to be diverted for the damage caused by communal rights and clashes. Production suffers and there is a severe monetary loss for the nation. Politically speaking, communal conflict weakens democracy. It allows politicians to use religion as a leverage into position of the prominence for their vested interest. Also on the international front, communal conflict affects India's image adversely and weakens it considerably. And religious fundamentalism, some of the acts of terrorism is example of the partition of rights of 1947. Religious antagonism has posed a serious challenge to national integration in India. Our history is fraught with accounts of frequent conflicts due to religious differences. People belonging to the different religious conflict, people belonging to the different religious feel that their religion is superior. This is a problem for enhanced ethnocentrism. Religious fundamentalists try to impose their religious practices on others, which leads to this situation of conflict. Political manipulation is often known to project one religion against the other, which has resulted in communal riots, mutual distrust or disintegration. Large scale illiteracy and superstition are responsible, along with other, other causes, for the rise of communal violence and divisive tendencies in the country. Means countries, people, religious people are given priority to their own religion or loyal to their own religion before the nation. Religious fundamentalism can lead to acts of terrorism also, which can create a fear, psychosis in the minds of people. Miscommunalism, casteism, means caste is first loyalty, second communal means religious loyalty, and the third one is next regionalism, region or a local or state. Regionalism refers to loyalty to one's own state or a region before the one's nation. This interferences with national integration to a great extent. The history of a particular region is glorified and often it is misused to stress divisive forces, thus ignoring the common cultural legacy and heritage. Regionalism emerges due to the desire of people speaking one language to have the state means their language. There is a strong urge to give priority to the economic development of one's own region. This leads to interstate rivalries, interstate problems. So long as this interstate rivalry is economic and social, for example, funds and welfare schemes, it is healthy. But when this rivalry takes political overtones, it becomes very dangerous. Political parties give more importance and weightage to the local and regional matters and problems rather than the nation as a whole. Regionalism thus strengthen sectarian biases by political parties. Interregional tensions escalate over economic and political as such issues. This has led to regional movement for state rights and militant movements for separatism. For example, the Jammu and Kashmir issues, the Punjab problem, Assam issues, etc. All these, if unchecked, can strike at the very root of democracy. Means the problem of interstate within their boundaries, their limitations, and the particularly geography related mindset is already there. Emergence, the desire of people speaking one language, as well as interregional tensions. You know the example we will discuss right now. Now the next one is linguism. For example, water crisis in the rivers of Maharashtra and Karnataka, as well as Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Yeah, this one is the problem is going on. Now the next one is linguism. Linguism is the problem is related to the language. Linguism refers to the loyalty to one's own language. And linguism has its own origin in the linguistic division of states and the linguistic minorities within the state. In every state, there is one dominant regional language. For example, in Maharashtra, Marathi, this is the dominant language. But someone does not speak language, this one is. The problem is related to the excessive loyalty towards own language. Along with this, There are other large sections speaking other regional languages and dialects. They constitute the linguistic minorities. For example, in Maharashtra, Marathi is the dominant regional language. At the same time, there are a large number of people speaking Gujarati, Konkani, Sindhi, Punjabi, Tamil, Kannada, etc. Even among Marathi speaking people, there are variations in their dialects. If these minorities begin to feel that their interests are being disregarded, and their welfare ignored, such a feeling is harmful to our national unity and solidarity. Next one is C. And linguism today has acquired seriousness and intensity. It has led to a definite form of linguistic nationalism which can provide enough impetus for separatism in India. Language play an important role in communication in an organization. It enables us express opinion, shared feeling and convey message and build knowledge. When language becomes the basis for conflict between people, this problem is called linguism. It is a form of excess loyalty towards one language. Linguistic fantasism poses a threat to national integration. Indian states have been divided on the linguistic basis in the year 1956. People of one language try to establish their language over others. There is conflict on the language issues even today. The notion of Hindi as an official language of the Union does not find complete acceptance across the country. There are many parts within India where Hindi is largely unspoken, especially in South India and in some northeastern states. They speak only their own dialect or own language with related to their own identity. The hounding of people who speak languages other than the dominant language is well known. The atrocities committed on linguistic minorities deserves mentions. The underrepresentations of tribal dialects and minority languages and decline in the study of literature of various languages is also a matter of concern. Miss the linguism, language based minorities, as well as excessive loyalty towards one own language, some literature, identity, their culture, their food, their styles, dress, etc. is related to the culture, and the culture is part of the language also. Now, the next one is economic inequality, unequal distribution of wealth. There are several factors are responsible for economic inequality in the society. Family influenced, private property, educational differences, availability and access to opportunities, individual differences, and social environment. We are discussed here in detail. The economic standard of people in a state depends on a number of factors like resources available, the management and organization, fertility of land, distribution of wealth, and so on. All states are not equal in this regard, and this leads to economic imbalances. Unequal distribution of wealth within the state causes tension and conflict. Very often, wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few. Profits from the private sector end up in the hands of a few privileged section and not for the common good. This kind of monopoly does not allow healthy competition. There are several factors that are responsible for economic inequality in the society. These are includes First one is family influence. We are discuss here the family to which we belongs to influences our choices and opportunities. For example, if one belongs to the below poverty line, means below BPL category, it may be difficult for the parents to provide healthy nutrition. Don't we come across news of malnutrition deaths of infants? Especially in the tribal areas, malnutrition is a social problem in our country. It's a family influenced. Next one is private property. Is related to the economic inequality. Numerous people do not own physical property on the one hand and on the other. There are very few who own excessive property. It is true that the large part of resources available are consumed by relatively few people who have the means to do so, only for the private property. Means this is the factor responsible for economic inequality. First one is we are discuss family influenced. Second one is private property. Next one is educational differences. This is often influenced by the economic strata to which one identifies and belongs. Ask yourself who are the person who can avail of the professional courses, who can afford private property or private school education, who can afford international education, mistaking degrees and diplomas related to the economy. Next one is availability and access to the opportunities. The purchasing capacity of individual and groups determines our patterns of consumptions and the extent of consumptions. For example, so many Anganwadis and primary health centers have no budgetary provisions to improve their infrastructure and services. How many children can have access to mental health care, counselors and psychologists? This is also a problem. Means economic inequalities in family, in private property, educational differences, all other parts. This one is related to all of us have a different capacities and capabilities. These are combination of our individual potential as well as one's societal experiences. For example, an individual may have a flair for art, music or acting. However, unless there is a scope for development or these abilities or skills, it may be impossible to utilize one's talent for individual or social benefit. Means this is the individual differences with each other. And the next one is social environment. The social environment in which one experiences life, for example, family, neighborhood, peer group, workplace, influences and impact how we develop as individual and as a society. Means all the parts is necessary to develop our society. But these factors are related to the economic inequality. The impact of globalization has both positive and negative consequences. One demerits is that it has widened the gap between the rich and poor. For example, the mall culture found in a big cities clearly favor those who have than the have-nots. A privatization of healthcare, insurance, occupation and education are more beneficial to the upper economic strata of society. Means economic inequality persists in all social systems of society. Even liberal democracies that are committed to equal citizenships have not been able to escape this problem. In a free market system, inequality inevitably arises. People have different access to reward as such as money influences power. This one is related to the difference between the people because of their personal and group characteristics. These exist in all societies across the globe. So, those with higher status generally have their better access to rewards compared to those with the low status. As well as inequality is found in is thus built into the fabrics of society and tends to get passed down from one generation to the next. Welfare state and differing slabs of the taxations were ways in which attempts were made in the minimize economic inequalities. It was thought that perhaps redistributing wealth from the affluent to the needy would help to the eradicate poverty. However, this does not always work because help may not necessarily reach those in need. Equality then seems like the receding horizons. However, our understanding of equality and inequality is undergoing a change. Today, significant changes are observed in the status of women, minorities, and the underprivileged. Side by side, we face a new risk and threats our environment, which do not discriminate people, the rich and the poor. For example, pollution, global warming, and terrorism, lack of hygiene or cleanliness. These are the problems which are created by human beings and which need a collective efforts as we address such issues. Welfare does not only remain at a material prosperity but about the overall well-being of all people. Some policies have to be promote social cohesion and interdependence. So, rights and responsibilities are for all, from the bottom of the social hierarchy to the society. Means this is the inequalities of all the areas within the society. Means this chapter overall related to the national integrations as well as inequalities related to the development. The need of our hour is to develop empathic understanding of our multiple diversities and work towards the strengthening the overall sense of national unity and emotional integrations. Some policies have to promote social cohesion and interdependence. This is the conclusion of this chapter. First chapter is third chapter is unity in diversity. First, diversities in caste, class, creed, sex, gender, etc. Then diversities, caste, class related to the society, and this one is a unity in diversity. And the last topic is related to the obstacle or hindrance to the national integration. Thank you.